Hi everybody, welcome back. So today I thought I'd share with you how to make a stencil in Cricut Design Space and then how to use it to make a quick Mother's Day project of an etched flower vase that your mum will no doubt love. Obviously it is Mother's Day next Sunday, so we need to crack on with this if we're going to get it done. So first of all, we're just going to click on text and we're going to type in the message that we'd like on our stencil, and I've already got my font set to, I think it's called Bryony. It's a nice straight font. There's not very many swirly pieces or anything like that on it, so it works really well. You can change your font yourself if you'd like to. Just click on the drop down box on the top left of the screen. So now I've got my text ready. I'm just going to go up to alignment and select center. Then I'm just going to click on the padlock and unlock it and drag my sizing to make it a little bit bigger on my screen. I will adjust this again to fit on the vase a little bit later on in the video. Next I feel I'd like to add an image, so just click on images and this brings up all the different images that you can choose in Design Space. I'm just going to type flower in the search box and wait for the results to come up. It's been a bit slow today, so it's taken a while. Now I just want something quite simple. There's lots of different options here. So some of them you have to pay for, some of them are free. I'm just going to choose a free one. There's loads to choose from, so I'm just going to select one I like and then click on Insert Images. So now I'm just going to position the flowers where I want them to be on the stencil so that when it cuts out it's going to all look exactly how I want it to be. Next click on Shapes and then click on Square. So this square is going to be the main body of your stencil, so you want to unlock the padlock and stretch it out to cover up all of your design. Next I like to right click and then click Center Back so that I can see that I'm covering everything up, and I'm just going to adjust my size a little bit more so that I've got a bit of extra vinyl when it cuts around the edge of the design. So the function that we are using to make the stencil is called Slice, and it will only allow us to slice one item at a time, so we need to hide the flowers first of all. So just select them and click on the little eye icon to hide it. Next just nip up the top and click on Select All, and that selects the flowers and the square box, and then we're just going to click on Slice at the bottom. Now we can start removing the pieces of the stencil that we don't want. So there's our original text. We'll just delete and click again, and there is our slice result. Delete that, and there's our stencil. So now we want our flowers back, so just nip back up to the little eye icon and click it to unhide your flowers. So the square is selected, so I'm just going to right click again and center back so that my flowers are there. Again go up to Select All and then come down to Slice, and we can remove all pieces that we don't want again. So let's get rid of that one and get rid of this one. There is our completed stencil. Super easy to do and really effective. So now I'm going to move on to making it into a vase. So at the moment the stencil is sized at 16.267 centimetres by 19 centimetres, and I feel like that's going to be a bit big for this. So I'm just going to get my ruler to see 16 centimetres is a lot. That's too big. So let's have a look. I reckon 8 by maybe 12 is the way to go. So let's resize that. So with this stencil, I'm going to use it on this vase. This is from Asda. I think it was £2. I bought quite a lot of them, and last year I just simply put vinyl decals on them, and we've still got a couple of them left in the shop. But with this one I'm going to etch it, so I'm going to need a stencil. So that's what this stencil is going to be. So let's just fly back into Design Space and then we can sort out our sizing and make our stencil. Okay, so I've measured the vase and I'm reckoning that 8 by 12 centimetres is going to work. So let's just go up to the top, unlock the padlock, and then we can type in the width of 8 centimetres and then the height of 12. and then that will adjust the size of my stencil exactly so it's going to fit on the vase nicely. For this stencil I'm just using a scrap piece of vinyl that I've had left over from a previous project. I do have stencil vinyl, but to be honest I find it difficult to work with, so I like to just use a scrap, it's just as good. So now just prep your mat, pop your vinyl down onto there, and if you've got a roller or a scraper, give it a good press down to make sure that it's adhered to your mat. Next you just need to load your mat into your machine. I am using a Cricut maker today and the fine point blade. Next click on Make It and your machine will calibrate to sort your mats into the project colours. You'll only have the one mat today because it's just one stencil. Once you've got your stencil on the screen and you are happy that it says basic cut and nothing else on the left, you'll need to go down to continue. So the next screen that we'll see is the screen for choosing our material. So I am choosing vinyl. This is also where you can browse all materials if you haven't got favourites set up. And then I'm just going to choose less pressure because I have just changed my blade and it is extremely sharp and cutting through everything. So the stencil's all cut now, and I'm just going to get rid of the excess vinyl from the mat, and then I'll just do the weeding. The most important thing to remember when you're making a stencil is that normally we would weed out all of the excess vinyl and leave all the letters and stuff. But with this being a stencil, we want to weed out the letters and leave all the outer edge of the excess vinyl in place. So the next step in the process is to attach your stencil to your vase. So what I'm going to do now is just give my stencil a little roll to make sure that it's nice and flat. And then I'm just going to take some regular clear transfer tape and I'm just going to attach that onto my stencil like you would for any decal that you're applying to anything. Once the transfer tape is on, just give it a quick smooth down with your scraper or your roller, depending on what you prefer. Next you'll need to peel off the backing paper and apply it to your vase. Just bear in mind it's a good idea to clean the surface of your vase with some alcohol just to make sure that there's no oil or dirt on there. So just pop your stencil onto the vase and smooth it down with your fingers, starting from the middle and working your way out. This just stops any bubbles and any stretching of the vinyl. If you do have a soft scraper, you can use one of those as well to smooth it down, and then just remove your transfer tape. So before we get started with the etching cream, we need to make sure that we're safe. Etching cream is like an acid and it's very, very abrasive. This is EtchAll. You can get other ones, I think Armour Etch is another one, but it does say it is very harmful if you get it on your skin or in your eyes, which wouldn't be fun. So I've got my goggles to put on. These are so attractive. And then I've got my rubber gloves just to make sure I am nice and safe. I'm going to give it a little shake before we get started. So I just want to stop this from rolling. So I've got a piece of wood here that I'm going to use for a sign at some point. So I'm just going to put that there just to stop it from rolling away. And I'm just going to check actually that everything's nicely adhered. Yes, it is. Okay. I use I guess it's a lollipop stick. It's one of the tongue pressing downy things that the doctors use. So I'm going to use some of that to get a nice blob of etching cream and stick it on. Make sure that you cover all of the spaces. Okay, nice and thick. Don't need to worry about how much you put on because we're going to put as much as we can back into the tub to make sure it's nicely covered. Another thing to check is that you've got no air bubbles, because that will not etch. That looks pretty, excuse me while I just look closely. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so we're just going to leave that now. Okay, I'm going to get Google to set me a timer. Hey Google, set me a timer for 15 minutes.
Okay, 15 minutes, and that's starting now.
Okay, 15-minute timer. I'm just going to put my little lollipop stick down on a piece of paper on my desk, pop the lid back on, and then I can take off my safety stuff. Okay, so we're going to wait 15 minutes for that to do, and then we will come back to it and remove it. So while we're waiting for this to do its thing, I just want to show you on the other side, if we turn it over really carefully, you'll be able to see, hopefully, can you see that? I should have used a different colour vinyl in hindsight, but never mind. You can see that there is no etch cream seeping out to go underneath the vinyl, and that is because it's such a flat surface on this vase, so it's actually really good for this sort of project, and there isn't any movement of that, which is what we want. Sometimes if you're using a glass that's maybe tapered, you might get some seepage underneath. Just be careful as well if you're looking at it without your protective PPE on. You don't want to get any on your skin, it will burn. So yeah, it looks pretty good. So about 10 minutes to go.
A few moments later.
Hey Google, stop. Finally, it is done. That seemed to be forever. Okay, so let's just check the back again. It's looking good, still no spillage or anything like that, which is great. So now it's time to put on our safety gear again. So goggles on, gloves on, and what we're going to do first of all is just scrape off as much of this as we can. Just scrape off as much as we can and put it back into the pot, because this stuff is not cheap. There we go, that's as much as I can get. Now I'm just going to go into the bathroom and wash it all off with some cold water. Okay, so I've washed off all of the etching cream. I did lose my little centre of my E while I was washing it off, but that's okay because we're going to take this vinyl off now anyway. Okay, so we've dried the glass as much as we can. It looks nice and frosted, so that's how we want it to look. Okay, so now we've just got to peel off our stencil. This looks great. Oh, it looks so sweet. Take off the middles of the letters. If you want to use a tool to dislodge it, you can, because some of them are really stuck well. There we go. Perfect for Mum for Mother's Day. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please drop me a like or a comment. Bye!